Hi, I'm Diane Dressback, and I have Kimber Lee joining me today, and we are going to be interviewing Jane Fendelman. Jane and Kimber both have written a chapter in the book From Us for You, Inspiring Stories of Healing, Growth, and Transformation. So thanks for joining us today, Jane. We really appreciate that. And I was
My
thinking back
pleasure.
of how long we've known each other, and I met you, just basically in the film community somewhere along the way in the
Yeah.
film community here in
Oh,
Phoenix.
I
But
know where we might have met. We might have met. Wait, did we meet at the Jerome Film Festival?
it maybe,
Maybe,
but
maybe
but
before then.
yeah, I think it
I'm
was
not sure.
I do remember coming to your house. And you would put a thing out and an invite out in Facebook, anybody that wanted to see the documentary that you had shot to come and
Oh
give feedback.
yeah,
And I
the
came to
breast
your
cancer.
house. I came to your house. There was I think me and maybe one or two other people. And I watched that documentary, which was really impactful. And that's my first real interaction with you. So,
Oh yeah,
but
that was a
yeah,
long time ago. Yeah, my breast cancer documentary.
yes, yes,
So,
yes,
that
yes.
may have been like 6 years ago. That
Yeah,
might have been.
it's been more than that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
But anyway,
long
anyway,
time.
so
Yeah.
why don't you give us just a brief introduction to who you are? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okie dokie. Uh, well, I'm a counselor in private practice for 27 years now. I do individual couples and child family therapy. I work with all issues from basic stress all the way to severe childhood trauma, including physical, mental, emotional, and sexual abuse. And I did become a counselor from figuring out how to heal my own trauma, and which is why this project was so important to me and meant so much to me, because that is where I got my start as a counselor, and it is how I became uh, a really great trauma counselor for adults with childhood trauma. I just know what to do and ended up developing a brief therapy technique for healing childhood trauma, looking for a way to heal my own. And that's my beginning. And I'm addicted to ballroom dancing. And what else about me? I like jumping horses, although I haven't since my spinal surgery a number of years ago. But in my imagination, I'm always going to go back to that. And let me see. Friendship is the most important thing in my life. And that's me.
Nice, nice.
Mm.
That is just utterly amazing. I did look at your bio, and so important to have what you do out there for
Thank you.
people to have that opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. And that healing childhood trauma tool that I developed, I am right now working on a grant so that I can run a pilot study to prove the efficacy so that I can make it available to more people, counselors, universities, individuals. So, yeah, that's a big deal to me. That's my baby.
And I have a feeling that the future is going to need you a lot. So, can you give me just a really quick elevator pitch about your chapters so that we don't give it away, so that people will be excited to get their hands on this juicy book?
Oh, yeah. Elevator pitch about my chapter. It was great to do it because it took me back to my why and the depth of connection that I have with my work, because being a counselor isn't what I do. It is a natural part of me and it came from that trauma. So the writing the chapter for it, and my chapter is called The Girl Who Got Raped and Became Great. And without giving anything away, I was raped when I was 12 by the leader of our neighborhood gang, who was a 16-year-old boy. And it left me in the deep pit of despair for many, many years. And around age 30, I had an epiphany experience and started finding my way out of the pit of despair. And the end of the elevator pitch is this: everyone receives their lumps of coal from life. And under tons of pressure from life, those lumps of coal become your diamonds. So everybody receives lumps of coal just from living. Living is dangerous and hard, and there's trauma for almost everybody. So we get these lumps of coal, and those lumps of coal interfere with us giving and receiving love. And like I said, under tons of pressure from life, those lumps of coal can become our diamonds. And my wish for everyone who reads this book is you're able to uncover and discover and claim your diamonds.
That is beautiful. Diane, I have to say, this is only my second interview for your book, but you picked some really wonderful women to help others in overcoming we call them failures, but they're really not failures. They really are successes. So what would you say to someone right now who looks at their own life and thinks, I'm a failure?
Yeah. So first of all, I would say that is your mean liar voices. Do not listen to your mean liar voices. Name them, anything you want. Bob, mom, asshat, sledgehammer, doorknob, and then start telling them, shut up, asshat, stop picking on me. You have no power here. Get out of my head. So that's one thing. The other thing is you are not a failure. You definitely likely got knocked around by life and adopted some belief systems and patterns, ways of being, coping mechanisms that are causing difficulties in your life, for sure. But you are not a failure. Those are your obstacles. And I know it can seem really dark and you can feel really lost and alone, but I promise you, you are not alone. Practically everybody on this planet is going through what you're going through. And if you're willing and able to find one tiny step at a time, you will pull yourself out of the pit of despair. And then things will be great for a while, and then just wait, they'll be sucky for a while, and then just wait, they'll be great again, and then just wait, because that is the wheel of life. And the best we can do is know that whatever happens, I will be able to handle it. I can handle it. And if I can't handle it, I'm willing to reach out for help, because that's hard. You guys know it's hard for a lot of people. A lot of people have tough guy syndrome. I could do it on my own. And that's lonely. It makes it harder. So it's vulnerable, but reach out for help. And this book is really going to help inspire a lot of people.
Right.
So
And like you
really
said,
great question.
thank you. And like you said earlier in your conversation, you can either be the lump of coal and stay in the dark, because coal is dark and heavy, or you can rise above and be like the diamond and shine brightly.
Yeah.
But perhaps only you can get there through the help of another individual, which is this book, or individuals.
Yeah.
So
it's
you've
okay
done,
to say you need help.
absolutely, always ask. And the big question is, you can either ask a professional or you can ask the universe. You will receive something from both.
That's right. That's exactly right. So whenever I'm in the dark place, I don't pray for a new, this is a bad example. I was going to say a new boyfriend, a new job, because I wouldn't pray for a new job because I love my job. But when people are in the dark place and they pray for something, the new car, the new job, the new boyfriend, that's not the prayer. The prayer to get out of the dark place is, help me be the vessel that can hold greater goodness, because we're pre-programmed for capacity to receive. And if what you grew up with was a Dixie cup full of love, and someone tries to come along and give you more love, it's going to feel uncomfortable and overwhelming, and you'll find a way to sabotage it. So the prayer is, please expand my capacity to hold more goodness. And yeah, absolutely, the prayer can be, help me have the courage to reach out and ask for help. You know, people have a strong persona, and that's their public persona. And it's okay like if you're on any of the social media platforms, you'll notice that whenever one of those strong people that you know says, I'm hurting today, everybody comes on and supports them. So that's evidence, people.
That is evidence. And you are so large with your beautiful light and your personality. And you've already done so much, but I'm just curious to see what you think your life would look like 5 years from now.
Ooh, 5 years from now. Okay, let me see. 5 years from now.
And that's a large, large spectrum, but try.
Yeah. Oh, I can see it. 5 years from now, I will have shot the pilot for my study that in support of my brief therapy technique for healing childhood trauma. That will be completed and out to the public so that anyone on this planet can access healing for childhood trauma. I have also gotten my next 2 grants. One will be for couples counseling for my tools. I developed these tools over 27 years. I randomly am one of the top 3 marriage counselors in Phoenix. I got contacted. I'm randomly good at couples counseling, really good. And also I know how to cure ADHD in children without drugs. So those will be my next 2 grants. And I'm sure those 3 projects will be accomplished within the next 5 years easily. And let me see, I'll be maybe with you, Kimber, and Diane, lazing on the back porch of my beach house in California, because that's
Or
where
you
I'm
can
gonna
come to Hawaii, because that's where I'm at.
I want to go to, okay.
Dream big, dream big.
No, Hawaii is on my list as soon as this ding dang pandemic is over. Hawaii, I'm coming to visit. You're in Hawaii?
Yes.
Oh, you're going to have a visitor on your couch. I'm just telling you right now.
You and Diane, more than welcome to come.
Okay, cool.
That we'll
So I'm gonna
celebrate
have
when
a
the
beach-
book's over.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to have a beach house in California for the summertime, and I'm going to have a penthouse in Manhattan for the spring and fall. And I'm going to have, I love my house here, but I'm going to have an even nicer house up on Lincoln and 32nd Street here in Phoenix for the winter times. And let me see, I might be remarried by then. And I might have adopted a couple of kids, or I might just have built my Zen center and taken people in. My clients are kind of like my kids. I always wanted to be a mom, but was never so blessed. So never blessed that way. But so the people around me, my clients and my friends' kids, I'm like Auntie Janie or Grandma Janie. No one's called me Grandma yet. Someone needs to call me Grandma.
Okay,
So,
Grandma.
What?
I said, okay, Grandma.
Okay, Grandma. Thank you. And I'll hopefully be horseback riding too. So in 5 years, and I really want to by then have met Oprah and been on her network or on her Super Soul Sunday. And I really want to talk to Dr. Phil, and I want to present with Anthony Robbins. And I already have a video that I got Matthew Hussey to make for me. If you guys don't know Matthew Hussey, he's just the hottest, cutest, sexiest dating coach, and smart, wise, brilliant. And yeah.
Wow.
I might have a second car. I'll probably have a second car. I love my Bug. It's brand new. I'd love my Beetle Bug. It's a convertible, but I think I might like to have a 2016 Z4, like my old one. Yeah.
Wow.
I believe you can do all of that, Jane. I really
totally
do. I think all of that will come
Totally.
true.
Easy. Piece of cake.
No problem.
Wow. That sounds like a little more than 5 years, but I'm with you. I'm going to hang in there. I want to watch it all.
It can happen. 5 years is, that's long.
Well, when I look at 5 years, I look at it this way. There's 86,400 seconds in a day. So I expand time, and you just freaked me out with expansion of time.
Well, it's so brilliant because Kimber, I used to know this amazing teacher, Stara was her name. And I remember visiting her one day, a girlfriend and I, and we stayed and visited, and after a while, we said, okay, we have to go. We have a million things to do today and not much time to do it. And Stara, as we were walking out the door, Stara said this thing to us as if she was casting a spell. She went like this: you have all the time to do all the things you want to do. And we were like, we have all the time to do all the things we want to do. And all day long, for the rest of the day, when we were doing our errands, we kept on looking at each other and saying, we have all the time to do all the things we want to do. And it stretched out our time. It did.
It's beautiful.
Jane, I wanted to ask you, again, not going into your chapter particularly, but you often mention the warrior goddess.
Yes.
So I wondered what this warrior goddess looks like in your eyes.
The warrior goddess. There is a way for a woman to adopt, relax into, and own her feminine power. So I'll give you an example. When women are not in the strength of their feminine power, they either use the masculine energy to try to get their needs met, or they use the screechy feminine fishwife voice. So the masculine power is directing and controlling. And that's why you meet a lot of women, moms especially, who are exhausted and resentful because they're doing everything and they're putting themselves last on their list. And that ain't how you do it. And it feels selfish, but a woman does have to put herself first on her list and to use your goddess, your warrior goddess energy, instead of saying to your kids, get your homework done. You're clean up your room. You're not going to play with your friends until you blah, blah, blah. That's the angry fishwife voice. Or saying to your husband, I'm not in the mood. You can't even romance me. You didn't take me out to dinner, nothing like that. You haven't given me a compliment in weeks. You use the power of your feminine warrior goddess, and you can seduce, entice, and inspire anybody to do anything you want. By being in your power, you just say, yes, thank you. No, thank you. Or, yes, I would love to take you over to your friend's house right after your homework's done. Or my favorite example is the woman who she could never get her husband to mow the lawn. And he was a good, hardworking man. And he was exhausted on the weekends. And that they would have a fight every single weekend. He be sitting on the couch, relaxing with his chips and his Coca-Cola. And she would say, you got to mow the lawn. And he would say, I'm tired. And she'd say, then let me hire a lawn guy. And he would say, we're not spending my hard-earned money on a lawn guy. I can do it. Yeah, but you never do. And then the fight would happen. So I taught her how to use the Dakini energy. And she came back the next week. And we said, this is a women's group. I used to have this amazing women's group a gazillion years ago. And we said, how did it go? And she said, I did just what you said. You can't believe what happened. It was Saturday morning. The kids were all at their friends. Just as I was coming down the stairs in my sexy nightgown, he was coming from the kitchen with the bowl of chips and his Coke, and the game was already on the TV. And she said, I did just what you said. I slinked up in front of him and I stopped his body with his body. And I whispered in his ear, you know how when you're mowing the lawn in that little white t-shirt and your muscles are sticking out and you're getting all sweaty? That really turns me on. And she goes, he mowed the lawn twice in 1 week. So your warrior goddess is not a ball buster. She's a seductress. She's an inspirer. She establishes a profound depth of connection with everyone around her. And it's way more fun than being the nagging fishwife.
Sure.
Love that. Love that. Wow. I'll have to try that one this weekend, right?
I want to hear, you got to tell me how it goes.
Can we interview you after that, Diane? I want to get that.
I have one last question for you, Jane. And that is, when you were writing the chapter for the book, and you alluded a little bit to this earlier, but when you were writing the chapter, can you share with us maybe one thing that you learned about yourself, or that kind of came clearer?
The timing of you asking me this was quite amazing. And I'll give a little teaser for my chapter, and this is why, and it's related to your question. Right before you asked me to write the chapter, so a few months ago, which a few months ago was September 2020, somebody randomly found my rapist. I'd looked for him off and on over the years. This is 48 years later, and it turned out I'd been spelling his name wrong. And someone, a Facebook friend who I don't even really know, randomly found him and said, "Is this him?" And I was like, "That is him." And you guys will hear in the chapter what happened, because I did confront him, and then something really weird and amazing and cool happened. But what I learned about me was, when someone found him and I contacted my mother, who is a really lovely person, but can't really hold the space for a trauma like that. And when I contacted my mother and she wasn't able to hear my pain, I told her I might be coming back to St. Louis for a court hearing because somebody found the guy who raped me when I was 12. And she didn't respond in a great way. And I write about that in the chapter, you'll see. Here's the thing that surprised me and also made me feel good. And that was, even in that moment when I was thrust back to my 12-year-old self, because when she didn't respond in a great way when I was reaching out with something vulnerable, I might be back home for a court case with my rapist, I had a moment in time of extreme devastation, as if I was 12 years old again and had just gotten raped and knew it wasn't safe to reach out for help to anyone around me. The thing that surprised me, that I'm pleased with too, is I stayed in that sad place of having all that old stuff triggered for a few days, and for just a few days. And the me of before the amount of healing that I have done over these years, me of before would have stayed in that dark place and been down and sad and depressed for maybe months, not just weeks, but maybe months, knowing that I did not have and do not have that kind of support from my family, from my mother, from my family. And my recovery was relatively fast. Not that you have to recover fast. I don't want anybody to get the idea it's important that you recover fast. I'm just pleased to know that that thing is healed enough, that rape is healed enough, that when I went through the cycle again of the old trauma resurfacing and then reaching out for help and help not being available, that I was able to recover, and also reached out to help from other people. I did talk to a couple of friends after that and felt more centered. So that was nice, because I know that the people who read this book are going to be the people who've had trauma. And there's your trauma, and then there's the other trauma, which is called secondary trauma. Secondary trauma is what happens after your physical, mental, emotional, or sexual abuse. Secondary trauma is how it's handled, including you stuffed it, denied it, forgot about it, and then it came out years later, and then you tried to tell somebody, or maybe you tried to tell somebody right away, and they did victim blaming or slut shaming. That's secondary trauma. So I was pleased and grateful to have seen that I was able to bounce back from that secondary trauma relatively quickly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's such a good question, Diane, because I actually had to get in the mood. I was waiting. I'm a writer, sort of, not by profession, but I do and always have liked to write. And when you asked me to write this, I was, as a writer, I know to wait for the time when I'm inspired and, something really flitters into my head and I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. I need to write that down. Mm-hmm. And I was waiting for the day. I was getting thoughts. I just wasn't getting the mood. I had to be in the mood to go back there.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah.
But it was good timing, because it was right after somebody randomly found that rapist. That was crazy. You guys won't believe what happens. You'll read in my chapter what happened. Something big happened to the rapist. After I found him and confronted him, I won't tell what it is.
No, don't tell. Well, thank you for that, Jane. And I can't wait for us to be able to release this book so people can
Yeah.
read your chapter and read everybody's chapter. And I thank you so much for coming on and talking with Kimber and I today. Appreciate it.
Thank you both. And thank you to everybody who's watching. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
It's a big thing you're doing. This is a really big, important book that people are going to need to read.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. So, and thank you for those of you that are watching the interview. Feel free to share them, share this interview and all the other ones. And if you'd like to find out more about the book, you can go to FromUsForYou.com and they'll have all the details on what's going on there. So anyway, so that's it for today. Thank you so much and make it a hopeful day.